Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Frozen Frontier.
Thankfully, we got all the inappropriate questions out of the way during the break
time very efficiently.
We are mature adults over here. I can confirm that.
I will say there was a lot of math involved.
No, okay,
all right,
sure.
Look, there's more important things going on. You are approaching the Great Hall of the Frost Giants down in Caledonia, about to speak with the Frost Giant King. Before we actually get there, I want to check in with William right now.
Yeah.
This is kind of a big deal, isn't it? Like, you've been in Caledonia for a while. You've been fighting monsters. You've been fighting dragons. You've been fighting the elements. And here you are about to enter a great hall of the Frost Giant King built on top of one of the great mountains here. What is William, like, what's going on with William right now?
Yeah, I don't know. It is kind of a big step, especially when you put it in the context of this being the first real relationship we've had with any semblance of civilization. I'm not sure. I guess actually pursuing this seems more in the interest of curiosity than it does in furthering the goals of the expedition, because I don't particularly see how this is going to lead us to any more treasure unless they do help us kill the dragons. But yeah, I think William's perhaps losing sight of the goals of the mission slightly since we found all of Sleet's treasure in the iron mine, and maybe now is driven more by some semblance of curiosity as to what's going on here, like what's with the Scrags, the ancient Caledonians. So I think he's more excited to meet this king of the giants and see what secrets.
Do you feel intimidated or out of your depth at all?
I think he's kind of felt out of his depth this entire time. A little bit. Not that he admit it, but yeah, a little bit. Well, I mean, certainly out of control of the situation right now. I mean, riding atop this giant's shoulder, there's a certain level of vulnerability. We've left our supplies behind. We could be walking. I mean, if the giants wanted us dead, there's no way we're getting out of this once we step into that hall. So definitely vulnerable.
Okay. Grimes, you're just a small town boy who used to clean chimneys for a living. And here you are, same story, doing this crazy thing with these crazy semi-magical monsters in this fucking magical desolate wasteland that's possibly Grimes' equivalent of hell.
Maybe.
Somehow you
the
seem...
weather sucks, but it's all a bit of a grand adventure, and the consequences are less severe for Grimes, aside from his life being on the line and all.
You feel okay with everything? Like, you've got it under control? I mean, you're the translator. If anything, most of this rests on your shoulders. Is Grimes even aware?
I don't think that aspect of it is registered for Grimes. I don't think the fact that this is a king intimidates him. Frost giants are still a bit much. I think it's all so fantastical that it's kind of, I don't know, you lose perspective, right? Once you've slain your first dragon, I mean, what adventure can really frighten you?
Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming.
Sure. Ferris, you have been coming. Your original goal was to come and look for elven artifacts, which has not entirely been a dud, but has sort of been a dud. Like, you haven't really come across a lot. But here's like fucking frost giants all over the place. Like,
yeah.
What is this to Ferris? Is this anything to him at all?
Well, okay, so the giants have been here for a long time, and they're probably the most intelligent creatures we've encountered on this continent. And didn't we ask about elves with the last group we ran into?
Yeah, they told us about the elves coming from that floating island thing.
Yeah, and I think I'm a little bit anticipating maybe learning something from this meeting with the king about the elves, because he's gonna bring that up. Also, I think Ferris doesn't hate the expedition to Caledonia in general. Like, this is probably the most excitement he's ever had in his life.
This is like the highlight of your life, probably.
Yeah,
I can see that.
He's had a pretty shitty existence. So, like, yeah, it's a rough life, but at least we're making cool things happen. Like, he killed a dragon. Not many people ever make that achievement, right? So he's definitely doing substantial things finally for one point in his life.
And dare I say, you've got some friends, which perhaps you didn't have before.
Acquaintances.
Yeah.
He'll appreciate you once you're gone.
Yeah.
I'll look back with a little bit of fondness.
And Yaromir, I believe you came to Caledonia looking for answers, and perhaps you've only created more questions than you've answered along the way. Are these frost giants at all interesting to you? Is this part of do you find this a fascinating part of your adventure? Is this meaningful to you, or are you just kind of like, whatever, it's what we gotta do?
I don't think the giants in and of themselves are all that interesting. It's not like Yaromir is a collector of culture, right? He wasn't big on society anyway. Giant society just seems like a bigger, angrier person to be mad at him. But, giants are magical creatures. And they have potentially, more arcane influence or knowledge that could maybe be obtained. And I think that Yaromir is kind of just naturally curious, right? Like, whether or not he's particularly interested in giants, just the fact that there's a new puzzle to maybe solve is always intriguing, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be what he's questing for, but there's a certain enjoyment in putting the pieces together.
All right. Well, here we are, scaling the mountains right near the frost giant lair. You get about go for it.
As we're getting towards the end of our journey, I think I should ask William what he wants me to say. Like, what's the plan, Captain?
Maybe you get put on his shoulder so we can have a chat.
Yeah. Or you crawl up his arm, or I guess you can just shout to him. It's maybe.
It's not like they
feet.
speak common. I hope.
So I think things that we want to establish, right? If they've got any sort of library if they've got a lot of information, it would be nice to find out what actually went down with the Scrags. What's the deal with that weird forest? How long Frostbite been asleep? What are the bads that the giants told us about that lived over here? Or was it the kobolds who told us about? And then we'll tell them about the king's tomb, and then I want to try and broker some alliance to try and kill these dragons.
Have you ever met a king before?
I've ever met the king, Neal? No. But I imagine, though, that this giant doesn't have as many subjects as Princess Sela, so...
Do you judge a king by the number of subjects they have?
Yeah, number of subjects / power of their armies, I suppose.
I'll bet he could squash Princess Sela like a bug.
I'm pretty sure that Princess Sela's army would kick the shit out of these giants, though, if it came to it. I think we're having this argument on top of the giant's shoulder.
All right, so is William this frank with Grimes? You do say, no, I've never met a king, but...
Yeah, I feel defensive at your questioning the validity of Princess Sela's rule.
I didn't question the validity of a rule, but you seem to question the validity of this King Wise.
I mean, I guess I don't know what to expect, right? Maybe they'll
Shall I present you as a captain? Are we explorers from afar? Are you...
emissaries of another...
Are you a servant of Bellum here to burn this continent to the ground? I mean, what's our approach?
No. I seem to remember they didn't
like exactly.
Bellum.
So what's the plan?
Just say that we're emissaries from the mainland.
Okay.
Looking to reclaim the lost treasures of our...
humankind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And seeking to forge alliances with the most powerful civilizations in Caledonia. I.e. them.
All right. The giant scales the mountain, putting Grimes more on his back, kind of like the shoulders here, so you're having to hold on to his head and maybe look over Yaromir as he climbs up this mountain at night. Eventually, he gets to a flattish region, which you realize is an entryway into a temple or a hall that's built into the ground. There are 4 pillars out front, with a larger gap in between the middle ones than the side ones. A bit of an overhang, maybe 30 feet or so, and then a 30-foot wide, 40, 50-foot high passageway that just leads into the mountain.
Are we set down or do we stay atop Clifford?
He leaves you on him, unless you ask to be put down.
This looks like the place, Grimes. I shout from the shoulder.
I'd say so. Is the entryway carved? Like, are there decorations around this?
Yes,
this
yes, there
passageway?
are. You go by them fairly quickly as the giant strides down the hall, so you don't get a really good look at any one in particular. But they don't seem too different than the decorations you might find in the Great Hall of some mighty king. You know, there's like in human society, you might have like a painting of an epic battle where humans are fighting monsters and there's a great king leading the charge or something like that. Here you've got similar things where there's depictions of some probably historical events between the giants, and you see different groups of giants momentarily, and then they're all the same group, and there's some dragons over there, and there's like little people. And then there's like a big wall of something, and then there's like a goddess on one side, and then you're like in the Great Hall itself, and these depictions have just like blazed by you.
Neal, what about scrags? Do we see any scrags in the depictions?
There's lots of like little humanoid-ish creatures. Give me a perception check. It's gonna have to be a pretty good one to have spotted anything particular like that while you passed these.
If we get a chance, I would like to approach the king on foot, if possible. If I can convey that message to Grimes.
Yeah, no, it all went by way too quickly. If you had time to walk around and look at it, you might find something of scrags, maybe. But it's just, you're walking through murals at giant speed. You get into the Great Hall, where there is a fairly large chair that is built out of the mountain itself. All of this looks like it's been excavated and nothing has been added back in, so it's been very, very carefully pulled out. And in this very large chair at the back of the hall, which, let me roll back. The tunnel that you enter in through opens into a larger room. It was originally 30 feet wide at the tunnel. Now it's maybe 100 feet wide and like 200 feet deep, with a set of columns running down 25, 30 feet in from the walls on the side, so running all the way down with you. A large chair thrown on the back on a slightly raised dais, and sitting in the chair is what you presume to be Gordoth, the frost giant king, resting back, kind of propped up, but you can see his head is like in this kind of cushioned headrest in the chair. Eyes are closed, hands are on the armrests. Seemingly sleeping peacefully. Gordoth pulls you off of him, setting you on the ground, and speaks loudly in Giant, saying, "Gordoth, my wise king, please awaken. There are matters that need your attention." To which
So I go down on one knee.
Are we?
I'll do the same.
Have we been set down?
You've been set down. You're 40 feet from Gordoth.
Okay. Yeah. We kneel. Yeah. I don't think I even translated that, but I assume that William sort of got the message anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Is the king asleep on the throne?
He was asleep. He blinks his eyes, wakes up, takes a deep breath, lets it out slowly, looks around and goes, "Oh, the little creatures! Lydia spoke of them. Here they are. At long last." He gives a chuckle to himself.
In Giant, I guess I speak up. Wise King Gordoth, we are honored to meet you. I represent the Caledonian expedition. This here is our leader, Captain William Marshall. And I point to Captain.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm not, but
This is King Gordoff.
I guess I say, Lord Gordoff, Princess Sella greets you.
When I translate, I use king instead of lord.
Nice.
I like translate. King Gordoff. He brings greetings from our Lady Liege, Princess Sella, from Drekis in the north.
He pauses. Drekis. That is a... Clifford, bring me the history book.
It is a kingdom north across the sea.
I see that. Yes.
We have come to this land to explore and reclaim the forgotten relics of humanity's past.
Have you found any?
A few.
Good for you, young one. Good for you. Has not been a human setting foot in Caledonia in 2,000 years?
I think I translate for the party. He's sent for a history book to try and figure out where Drekis is. I gave him some more information. He says it's been nearly 2,000 years since a human has been in Caledonia.
That makes sense.
Wait, isn't the year like 1500 something, Neal?
Yeah. He
Rounded.
might be exaggerating. Maybe there's something that you don't know, but you're totally right.
Right.
It's been 1,500 years. Yeah.
Grimes, ask him if humans left the continent when it froze over.
Did the humans leave the continent when it froze?
In a matter of speaking, they all froze in place and died.
I suppose.
No, they died.
I suppose they could just be exaggerating. It's only been 1,500 years since the breaking. I guess you can round up from there. It's not too out of the question.
I'm not going to translate that.
Well, small ones. And he gets out of his chair. The king is naked, like the rest of the giants, and comes over and sits cross-legged on the ground before you and kind of like leans in. So he's closer to your heights and lowers his voice so as not to hurt your ears as he bellows. Tell me, if you have come seeking treasures and explanations, what can I do for you, new subjects of mine?
What do? I'm sure there is a great deal we can do for each other. I look around the hall. Are there other giants here?
No. It's just Gordoff, and Clifford is gone. He went through a doorway somewhere, and...
Okay. When we spoke with Lydia, she mentioned a few sites of interest that your large stature prevented you from investigating.
Yes, the tiny tunnels of old. Have you explored them? Are they glorious on the inside?
I'm telling him of the tiny tunnels, the tombs. Glorious, yes. In the tunnels beneath your shrine to Nerul, there is a great flaming sphere that burns eternal.
Ugh, that sounds terrible. It is a good thing it was locked away.
Perhaps. Many of the others are tombs as well, to human kings of old. Or mines. If you have any specific questions. I told them about the tombs and the mines. He did ask what he could do for us.
Well, perhaps it's time we present our gifts. Yarmir, do you have the lots?
Oh, sure. Give me the phone.
Can you show him
pull them out of the portable hole.
It appears my captain has brought you gifts.
What is that thing that you are drawing other things from?
He asks what it is.
Tell him it is my magic.
It is our wizard's magic.
Oh. Show me a trick, wizard.
I produced the lanterns for him, and
Demands a trick.
turn one on, and just kind of show off the power.
Does it just light on and off?
Yeah, it's just.
Do they float or anything?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
So I go to take it from you, Yaramir, and then I stand up and go to hand it to Gordov.
Teeny tiny
Takes
lantern.
the lantern and looks at it, and
It's probably even smaller than that, right? It's like
it's pretty small for him. Yeah.
A gift for you, Lord Gordov.
He
A gift
stands
for
up
you.
and looks around, and eventually decides to put it on like the corner of his throne and sets it there, and then comes back and sits down before you. And while he was walking over and setting it down near his throne, I think for the first time you notice that right next to the throne is a massive hammer that's just like sitting there, head down, shaft up, ready to be picked up.
Metal.
The haft looks like it's made out of wood. The head looks like it's made out of maybe some sort of like ore, maybe like iron ore that hasn't been smelted down.
Does it look like it would be too heavy to pick up?
For you, definitely.
Yeah.
When you say made out of wood, do you mean like a carefully crafted wooden shaft, or do you mean like a tree trunk?
Probably like a tree trunk that has then been like carved to the right proportions and everything. So carefully crafted, yes. Tree trunk, yes.
Okay.
Tell me, or continue giving me gifts.
He's asking for more gifts.
Well, okay. Can you translate for me, Grimes?
I nod.
Lord Gordov.
Lord Gordov. King Gordov. I hope I caught that before I translated it, but maybe not.
That's fine.
Lord King Gordov.
You have heard tales from my advisor here of our quest to recover the treasures of humanity.
I have told you tales of our quest to recover treasures of humanity. I can just translate more or less word for word.
That's good.
You have correctly assumed that so far we have not been too successful. It seems that the worms that inhabit these mountains got to most of the treasure before us. I hear that your people have quarrel with these worms as well. Perhaps we could broker some sort of an alliance, defeat them together. We could take back our puny relics, and you could regain control over the cliffs.
And Ryan, you translate all that. roughly
Yeah,
the same.
that's what I was saying. I translate that word for word.
He starts chuckling to himself and says, "Why would I need your help to defeat the worms?"
Well, okay, I assume Ryan translates.
Yeah, I translate that back. He asks why he would need our help.
Well, I can understand that perhaps you don't want to risk the lives of your great warriors, but we are foolish men, intent on glory, and we don't mind risking our lives in pursuit of this. Perhaps with your help, we could be successful without too much risk to your own people.
How do I explain this to you? If we kill the dragons here, we only invite other dragons to come and try and reclaim the land. In the past few thousand years, my people have made this their home. There have been many dragons that have come and gone, and every newcomer brings war and terror and death with it. Yet when they establish themselves and get into their routine, they're easy to manage. They stay over there where they want, we stay where we want, and we can live peacefully together. Every time we kill one of these dragons, it only creates room for new dragons to come, and then we have to establish new peace or fight new wars. After 1,000 years of chaos like this, we've decided to just live with them rather than seek to destroy them. I have no desire to see these creatures dead, and some amount of desire to see them alive. I won't stop you from getting yourself killed with them, though. That is your prerogative, and I encourage the brave warriors of your groups to test their mettle.
Then perhaps, Gordoth, we can broker this deal in a different way. The lands of Drekis are rich in resources and items of great power that perhaps aren't available here in Caledonia. Maybe I can barter your assistance in some other way.
I'm all ears.
I guess I look around. Do you find yourselves in need of anything? Armor, perhaps? I don't bash on my armor. Forged weapons?
We have not warred amongst ourselves for 600 years. We have no further need of arms or armor.
And food? I assume.
My people have transcended the need for food and drink. The great goddess Nerul saved us when the times changed. She took us away from our original form and gave us new form to live here after our great sire, Kranus, broke free from the mountain demons.
Then, what do you desire, Gordoth? Just to sit atop your mountain and rule your people?
A good ruler has no desires, simply enjoys the world around them and sees to the peaceful lives of their subjects. I have everything I could ever want.
Well, if you cannot help us in battle, then perhaps your history books can enlighten us as to the events that have transpired here over the years.
I do love a good story. I will trade you one of your stories for one of mine.
Sounds fair enough. Would you like to go first, or shall I?
What would you like to hear?
The Scrags, do you know of them?
Scrag.
Smaller than man. Live in the trees, cast spells.
Oh, yes, the white furry things that run around in large numbers. Yes.
No, not kobolds.
No.
Grimes, can you explain that they live within the trees? They fought a great war with the humans.
They wield great magic. It appears they played a major part in the ridding of the humans from Caledonia.
You mean the mountain demons?
Perhaps. The
ancient creatures that fought the humans for some time before everything froze and the humans died and the demons retreated.
I translate this bit. It calls them mountain demons. They fought an ancient war with humans. Are they still around?
Yes. Although I believe most of them are dead or sleeping. They are few in number these days. Cowardly.
No longer a threat?
They were never a threat once Kranus the Great broke free of them.
Then perhaps you can tell us of the cold. What caused this change in temperature that saw my people die?
I think before I translate that, I'm like, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we owe him a story.
I don't think that counts as a full story, but perhaps you're right.
That is an unknown thing. What is known is that my sires came from a distant land, forced here against their will, broken free of their chains, and saved by the great goddess Nerul when the winds changed. And this is about when Clifford comes back with a book, and the king sort of ignores you guys for a moment, like turns away and pulls this book out and starts flipping through it. Eventually, like tapping on something and looking at you and says, Drekis, a southern land in the the world of Arcadia, yes?
South of Arcadia, north of here, across the sea.
South of Eridon.
It's
It's in the south of Arcadia, Grimes.
This was all in Giant. You didn't even hear that. I got it right. It's in the south of Arcadia, but it's north of where we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's across the sea.
Yeah.
And
My
it's not an area.
people have...
Grimes doesn't know shit about Eridon either. That's like
I think I misunderstood. Sorry.
yeah, you're fine.
The histories laid out by Cranus the Great mention a distant region known as Drekis. It seems like you have come from our ancestral homelands.
Are the giants from Drekis?
No. We are from an area not part of any kingdom. Before Cranus came here, he was just our ancestors were small, unallied tribesmen, disparate and fighting each other and others around them. It was a brutal life a long time ago. Sadder time. But now I want you, he points to the wizard, show me a trick. Cast me a magic spell. And one of you tell me a story.
He wants you to cast a spell. Well,
then a spell he shall get.
Hands of Cerulean on the giant.
Alright. I shall think very long and hard about what is impressive to giant.
while my wizard
I will ask him to lower his eyes and plug his ears as I take flint and tinder and create small fire. And then I tell party, hey, you might want to duck and not look.
I think he's about to conjure flame. You may want to avert your eyes.
I think he might be doing the fireworks again.
And I create fireworks.
Yeah.
Indoors.
It's a huge roof, right? So we just have like full-on pyrotechnic display, huge thunderous clap echoing throughout here, leaving everyone deaf.
I'm
And everyone
terrified of
staring
frost
at
giants,
the
right?
line.
What do they think of fire?
Huh?
That's a really, really good question. Let's see.
Did he react when I was like? I mean, he had a moment when I was like,
Death to you.
when I was like, shield your eyes. I think he's about to create fire.
Yeah, he was like, okay, sure, like going along, but not really understanding what's about to happen.
Yeah.
I need to open up my. Ooh, I have it over here, don't I?
At least these aren't by the book giants, because they hate magic and ritually kill any wizards they encounter.
Let's hope Neal doesn't have like a line that just says like, "Will attack any flame users on site."
Yeah. William, what is
Check out
your
my cool sword.
William? What's your reaction adjustment modifier on your charisma?
Should have brought Van Helsing.
0.
0. Okay.
Is William getting it or is Grimes?
I feel like it should be Grimes.
You know, actually, it should be Yaromir, because you're the one casting the spell. Yaromir, what is your reaction adjustment on your charisma?
1.
Nice.
Is that a positive one or a negative one?
Positive adjustment.
You don't want
Sweet.
positive, you want negative.
No, but you
What's
have
your
high
charisma?
charisma, right?
I have 13 charisma. It is
Yeah.
positive in
Oh, okay, never
It
mind.
is, yeah. Sweet.
I thought that was the one you wanted to roll low on.
It might be, but we
It's
translated.
yeah, it's a mess. Second edition's just a fucking mess. It's beautiful. So the giant, like, once they're gone, pulls his ears out of his fingers out of his ears and looks around, blinks his
How long
eyes.
until they're gone? Is this like a?
Oh yeah, he's blind and deaf for a long time if he didn't do what I told him.
No, he averted his eyes and plugged his ears.
Yeah,
And then
okay.
waited for the sounds to stop.
Yeah.
How long is it? Is that like 10 minutes? Or can you call them off early?
Anyone who's blind and deaf, yeah, it's a long time.
I mean, but the whole spell duration isn't like 1 round per level or something.
Oh
I have
god.
to find it. This is why I'm saying it's a long time, because it is, but I don't know.
Oh my god.
They are blinded for D4 plus 1 rounds.
The duration is special. I think it just goes off instantaneously.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not like a long
colored
fireworks
aerial
show?
Fireworks go off for 1 full round.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Everyone within 120 feet have an unobstructed view of the burst. Creatures viewing this are blinded for D4 plus 1 rounds.
All right.
I thought it also had a deafness, but I guess that is incorrect. It is just blindness. But it does have sound, so, big loud noise in the cavern.
Oh, yeah. When it's done, he pulls his fingers out of his ears and looks around for a moment and sits back and starts applauding and laughing uproariously to himself. Fine show, young one. A fine, fine show. Now, tell me a story, any of you. I long for change.
Ferris has a notebook that he's been writing in. Maybe he'll offer one of his poems to Grimes for him to recite.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Ooh.
I would be happy to give him, Matavan folktales. I have a folklore proficiency, right? I could tell him, the story of how the tortoise got its back or something.
Ooh. Well, whatever one you want to do.
So the party starts. All right. What would you like me to
Actually, no,
translate first?
Grimes, you can't read. Never mind. have Yarmir handle this for
Well,
you.
not this chicken scratch. Your handwriting's awful.
My handwriting is beautiful. Look at this. And he showed you this perfect looping elven handwriting. It's gorgeous.
Does the giant seem bemused by us bickering amongst ourselves?
Yeah, he's watching intently and curiously.
Either is fine with me. Give the giant a
It
title.
seems like no
Have
one
Yarmir do it.
finds anything useful, so he may start talking on his own.
All right, Yaramir.
While my companions come up with something to tell you, perhaps I can tell you more of our kingdom of Drekkus.
Please do.
Have you heard of a castle? Perhaps you've seen the ancient ruins of humanity around here, but our capital city, where our kings and queens live, is a great mountain made by men called Wicthron Renta. And it sits in the shadow of an even greater mountain, Wicklamdo. So tall that it is capped with ice. You see, most of the lands in Arcadia are not covered in frost, as you see here. But they are filled with green pastures and thriving living trees, rivers that flow.
It sounds like a most inhospitable wasteland, if you ask me. Devoid of all nutrition.
I thought the same of this land when I first set foot, but appearances can be deceiving. Do you know where the giants came from in Arcadia? For I think that
Grunghall.
Grunghall. Well, I think that my home turf, Wicklamdo, the Great Peak, would make a fine home for a frost giant.
Can you take me there?
Maybe someday. It's quite a long ways away.
I
Quite a
thought maybe
steep
your
climb.
wizard could move matter across vast distances.
Yeah, he's mostly just got these parlor tricks.
I understand. Tell me if you have another story you wish to know. I would be happy to share mine with you.
So I guess I whisper to the rest of the party, or not whisper, but
Yeah, so I think
Almost.
Grimes has been conversing with the giant for a little bit. I don't know if Yaramir was thinking up folklore that he wanted to pass on, or if
well, it sounds like
It
we're
sounds
getting
like-
another story from
sounds
him
like the
first.
captain is. Yeah, do you guys figure out what else we want to know?
Perhaps Faris, we should ask him about the elves.
That is something I'd like to know. Grimes, can you ask him what he knows about the elves in this continent? I know they're growing trees and that they live on that moving rock.
Our elf would like to know more of his people, about his people on this continent. Do you know of elves in this land and how they might be related to that moving island that the druids call home?
Elves.
Have human-sized, pointy ears, He's a really bad example because he wears that spooky mask all the time.
I was going to ask if that was the face of a creature I've never seen before, or if there was something unusual about him. But I didn't want to be rude.
Just the mask doesn't come off. Just tell the mask doesn't come off. I don't.
It's a ceremonial mask. He can't take it off for on spiritual grounds.
Understood.
But in all honesty, he's the one probably being rude for not showing his face in front of a king.
There are pointy-eared creatures that ride a large island that come through here once a year or so and go about planting trees. Is that what you're talking about?
Perhaps. Are these these are the only elves that you know of here?
Pointy ear. He gets really close and starts to move Ferris's veil to take a look at his ears.
Can you see the ears behind the mask?
Yeah, the mask just covers the front. Those are the only pointy-eared things I've seen about.
Perhaps there are ancient tales. I think there was once an elven kingdom that ruled in this land. You know, I might have a story of Caledonia for you.
Tell me.
It said that the humans here, they delved too deep in their magical studies, researched spells too powerful. The clerics asked too much of the gods and brought this curse upon the land. What do you know of the ancient peoples here, the human kingdoms or the elven kingdoms?
Very little. As I've spoken often in this encounter of our great King Kranos, who arrived here with his small family against their will, forced by the dark magics of the mountain demons.
When did Kranos come? How many years ago?
Before the winds changed, some decades before. The time where he was enthralled is a blur in his mind. The exact span of time was lost to us.
Were the demons here, or did they
were here in large, declining numbers, living in the mountains, waging war on the humans below. A war they seemed to be losing, and had been for some time.
Well, so I've been translating this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even as we've been meandering topics. It seems like he doesn't have much on the elves.
Unfortunate. Does he know how we could meet the ones that are here? He said they come through once a year.
Yeah, going back to the elves and their island that comes with once a year. Do you know how we could meet them?
Wait for the island, of course, and then walk over to it and greet them in their language.
When and where would such an island appear?
I have no idea. But how long do your people live? Is a full cycle a long time to you?
A full cycle of the sun? Of Illumis?
365 cycles of Illumis is a full cycle.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Grimes probably does not know anything about the Earth revolving around the sun or anything like that.
Right.
I'm not even sure if that happens here. That is a reasonable length of time. We have been here for, I think, 2 full cycles. I myself am but barely 30 cycles old.
You're a baby! I'm speaking to children! My God! Where are your parents?
dead. You see, humans only live, well, maybe 50, 60, 100 years if we're lucky.
You poor creatures.
Elves live longer. I think Ferris is 70. I don't know.
Well, in that case, your time
William.
is quite limited. I don't know
William
how
especially.
people of your kind find things when they don't just sit and wait for it to happen.
This is why we're not so scared of risking our lives fighting dragons. We don't have too much time left anyway.
Well, tell me, what is your ultimate goal here?
We wish to recover the treasures stolen by the dragons.
The treasures of the ancient humans?
Indeed.
And the elves.
I am tasked by my queen.
I would expect most of the treasures to be taken by the mountain demons. They have been here since long before the winds changed, long before the dragons came. Frostbite herself did not arrive until some 100 years after the winds changed, and in that time, I would expect the mountain demons to have taken anything of value from their ancestral enemies.
Do the mountain demons have need of treasure?
Many lesser creatures desire sparkly things.
How might we hunt the demons if we wished?
They have their lair, their den, their warren is hidden deep within the mountains. But we have noticed a few places where they seem to frequent that may be near some of their entrances, or perhaps those are areas of spiritual significance to them. I could send Clifford to show you to these places.
I pull out the map and ask if he'll show us on the map.
Oh my! What a lovely little drawing you have here. How flat and wrong it is. But I will try my best.
Do it in... What color can you do it in, Neal? Let's see.
I'm just going to point to it with a ruler.
Okay.
So you guys are here. First, he points over to this area and says, we often see, well, often in our time, but in your time it's probably quite infrequent, but we see these creatures arriving or moving over in this region. And over underneath Frostbite's lair is the other major avenue of their movements.
Why, in the center of this huge mountain range?
Well, they all seem to originate from somewhere in here. We tend not to venture too deeply into Frostbite's home. There's little to offer in those sections of mountain. Terrible views. Some decent peaks. But very little to offer.
This is important information, Gordoth. And Drekis thanks you.
It seems you would be pleased if we took care of some of these demons as well. Perhaps we have found a way of which we can be of mutual benefit.
There are few threats to our kind. These mountain demons are one of them. They are the only thing I would consider our enemy. However, I think you are too small and too weak to fight them. They rove around in many different segments and groups and are most difficult to battle. They command wild magics, the likes of which my people have never seen. And they are infuriatingly accurate with their tiny toothpick weapons. Many of my people have lost an eye to them.
We have killed one already outside the tomb below the shrine.
Did we kill it?
No, it escaped, William.
It escaped.
It got away.
Yeah.
We have baffled one already.
Yeah.
Yaramir, I believe.
Just one?
Just one.
What
Yes.
about the others?
It was on its own.
How unusual. They typically range in groups of 8 or 4.
Oh, that's dangerous. If we were to head to these places on the map, you think we'd run into large groups?
The large groups are unusual. The groups of 4 are the most common, usually with at least one magic user amongst them.
Oh, okay. So
And-
they don't all cast some spells.
No. About 1 in 4. The groups of 8 seem to be comprised of 2 groups of 4 and contain 2 magic users. I would keep my distance from them.
And these non-spell using ones, how would they fare against a giant in a battle?
If we can engage them quickly enough, they can be crushed. However, they are surprisingly nimble, appearing to use stone and wood as a gateway or a portal. They disappear into the earth and then reappear in a tree. They are hard to catch and infuriatingly precise in their strikes. They can fell a giant unnaturally quickly.
But the wizards are the more dangerous.
Sometimes.
I believe we owe you a story, Godoth.
Give one to me, please.
Yaramir, you have a tale for our friend?
I'll tell him a tale. Are we ready for story time?
Yes.
All right. So, I shall tell you a story of how Tortoise got his shell. So, long time ago, a terrible famine hit the kingdom. It did not rain for 2 years, and all crops were dying. The animals hoped and prayed for end of drought, but sky was no longer able to gather clouds. So the cunning tortoise lived outside the village with wife and 2 sons. Famine was very bad, already devastating all the inhabitants. So the tortoise could no longer trick them into parting with what little rations they had to sustain family. One morning, very tired and hungry, Tortoise left his house with the intention of searching marketplace for food scraps. There was no food in the market, so the tortoise remained hungry. However, just as he was about to return home, he saw the rabbit hopping towards the marketplace. There was something strange about the rabbit. He looked well fed and full of energy. So the tortoise approached the rabbit with his head bowed as if he were mourning and began to cry. When the rabbit saw, he rushed to meet him. "What is it, my friend?" The tortoise answered, "My father is ill. He's being tended by medics. Wife is expecting our 3rd little tortoiseling." Sorry. "But she is so hungry that I fear for her health. Only last night, I heard that my mother-in-law is dying of starvation because she too does not have food to eat. I feel terrible because there is nothing I can do." Rabbit was suspicious because it was well known that Tortoise was very sly and could not always be trusted. But Tortoise was an excellent performer and soon won Rabbit's sympathy. "Meet me at the brook after dark," said the rabbit. "I will help you in spite of my doubts. I just hope that I do not regret this." Soon it was night. and the tortoise set out in the darkness to find the rabbit waiting at the brook. Once they said their hellos, both animals made their way deep into the forest, rabbit leading the way while tortoise followed closely behind. Before long, they came to a narrow path that led to an open clearing among the trees in the middle of forest. The rabbit stopped and pulled the tortoise aside. What you are about to see must be kept secret, you understand? Tortoise nodded in agreement. The rabbit cupped his hands around his mouth and began to sing beautiful song. Suddenly, a long white rope descended from the sky. The rabbit grabbed the rope and began to climb. After hesitating for just a moment, Tortoise also took hold of the rope and followed the rabbit up into the sky. Excuse me. The rabbit and Tortoise climbed and climbed until they got to the very top of the rope, where there was magnificent fluffy cloud shaped like a door. The door opened, and there stood kindly old rabbit with smile on her face. "Mother!" Rabbit cried in joyous voice as he embraced old rabbit. "This is my friend, Tortoise, who has come for supper. Come in and eat with us," they say, after giving warm handshake to Tortoise. The sight that met Tortoise's eyes made him gasp. There was a large table laden with most sumptuous foods ever seen. Exotic fruits and fresh fish of all types. "Don't eat too much," the rabbit warned, "or you will not be able to climb back down the rope all the way to village." But Tortoise did not listen. He continued to eat and eat every delicious morsel. He ate until he was so full his stomach was distended. "Aren't you going to take some food back to your family?" the mother rabbit asked. "Oh, no thank you. I am so full with food in my belly I cannot carry any more." And so the rabbit let down the rope and Tortoise began to climb down. Eventually, down the rope, his grip slipped, for he was too heavy and full with food, and he fell down the rope, crashing into the ground, shattering his back. But fortunately for him, the rabbits noticed and were concerned, so climbed down the rope and picked up all his pieces and glued them back together before sending Tortoise back on his way.
I think we sort of look around.
What a horrific tale. If I were that rabbit, I would not have put that tortoise back together. He clearly cheated me out of my food.
Tortoise learned a valuable lesson, though.
What was the lesson?
Pigs get fed, hog gets slaughtered.
It has been some time since my people have needed to eat, but the concept of food and hunger stays with me still. This, although I believe untrue, is a good tale of greed and carelessness.
Then, Gordoth, I would request more information from you.
Yes, what would you like?
North of the large human city, along the river, we came across a grove of trees surrounded by a wall, where the trees themselves leaked deadly liquids and rose up from the ground to grasp us. You know about this place?
We are familiar with the walled woods.
What is this place? How did it get there, and what is going on?
Once upon a time, Cranus took me there before it became my turn to lead our people. And he showed me through the wood. We crawled on our hands and knees under the low branches. He brought me to the center, to a series of stones surrounding an unusual tree not found here. He told me there that these stones and this center tree was a gateway used by the mountain demons to move between one place and another, move matter over large distances instantly and quietly. Some sort of magic tree portal thing. And that the trees around it were its defenders. Trees that should have died but refused to, and now fight anything that brings them disruption.
And the humans built the wall to stop the mountain demons from making use of this portal?
It is believed so, that the wall was crafted by the ancient humans of this land, armed with mechanized weapons of war to assault any demon that moved through the trees.
Does your former king tell you that whether anyone else can make use of this portal? Or if it's only for the demons?
Our people have little understanding of witches and warlocks. We do not know how to use that tree at the middle.
It's interesting. Well, I turn to the party and say, I'm running short of things to ask Gordoth. If we have any other questions, I think now would be the time.
Nothing. At least from me.
Very well, young ones. It has been a pleasure to speak with you. I hope you go in peace.
Indeed.
And should you run into any of our younglings, do be careful. They can be hot-headed and impetuous, and if they have not yet heard of your arrival, they may seek sport in driving you into the ice flows along the river, as they do with the gnolls and the kobolds.
It was a great honor to meet you as well. Is there anything we might say to your younglings to dissuade them from tangling with us? We would hate to accidentally injure one.
Tell them that the gnolls of the north have learned how to fight. They killed Bertha, and if our younglings do not care for their actions, they too shall find the gnolls of the north coming for them next.
These gnolls of the north sound terrifying.
They used to guard or work with Sleet before they betrayed him.
They betrayed Sleet.
Wait, hold on. So has he not noticed like the dragon scale armor, like the full suit of gleaming white scaled armor that William is wearing?
We did. Did we not tell Lydia that we killed Sleet?
We did.
Definitely.
But they haven't talked to Lydia since.
He did speak with Lydia. There's definitely some confusion as to what happened.
Or maybe
there.
he's letting it slide and we're the gnolls of the north.
That's up to you. You guys can try and correct him. You can leave him alone.
In any case, no, I will not try to correct him. Let's.
Yeah, no. I mean, we killed the Gnolls of the North, so we became the new Gnolls of the North. It's like Highlander.
So I guess I say the last thing before we leave. Gordoth, if we wish to speak with you again, what is the best way to gain access to this place? If we head to the shrine, and will we find giants there who can bring us here?
Or may we call upon you here?
If you can make your way back here, you may speak to me again. I might be out and about, though, so just sit and wait for me to arrive. Unless you see me hiking across the great wastes, the great plains.
And is there anything you would have us do for you? Any places you want explored or items you would like retrieved?
I will sit and think upon that. Where do your people make their home?
I show him on the map, Swampside, by the iron mine.
Good.
But be careful of approaching. Our younglings may takes shooting arrows at you.
I am glad to see that your people have a sense of humor. Not
you
all
might want
inferior beings do.
you might want to warn him about the balliste, Grimes.
I think my message said as much.
Okay. Do you think so?
Hang on. What could we give him anything that would
Give him a tinderbox.
Seems like they don't have much interest in material possessions.
No, I mean to like if he was to approach the town so that they don't attack him. But I
How
don't think
high
so.
up is the top of his throne where he put the little lamps?
So there are some 4-foot steps that lead up to where the throne would sit, and then I would say the actual lantern is maybe 5 feet from the top step, so it's within reaching range for you, definitely.
Okay, I'll just reach up and touch it and make it turn a whole bunch of different colors, right? Because I can change its color at will as long as I'm touching it.
Ooh!
I make it strobe through the rainbow, and I just look at Grimes and if the villagers see this, they will surely know that I have given it to him.
Or that he killed you. Do the villagers know the lantern to see it?
We will tell them.
We've had had this magical item in the camp forever.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've seen us.
And I imagine that we're going right back, so we can tell them about it as well.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Godath. And if you could have Clifford return us to the base of the shrine, that would be most helpful.
Neal, while this was going on, can I have Ferris have made a quick sketch, like a rough one, of both Clifford and Gordoth?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, because he did warn us that some of the younglings might be dangerous, so I'm gonna give that so that they have a rough idea of the ones that might not be quite so hostile.
Right. Okay. Do you have any sort of artistic talent, drawing abilities or anything?
Let me see. I don't think so. Other than we have established that Ferris has very, very fine handwriting, so he probably has delicate hand, but he's probably not particularly talented at art.
Okay.
So he can probably make it fairly clean, but it's also fairly amateurish. If that makes sense. Like he's mostly just getting the broad details down.
Right. Okay. Done.
All right. So I guess we head back to the dogs and
Yeah. Clifford will take you. Yeah, that's the right thing. Back to the dogs. It's like a 36-hour journey there and back. I think you've probably spent the night chatting with the king. You spend the day and a night coming back, so 36 and 36. So it's 3 days. So you're going to get back to the dogs with 1 day of food left.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Neal, I could do with going to sleep, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. You guys are going to head back towards Swampside?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just make some encounter rolls and check some weather rolls. If there are no encounters, we can just get you straight to Swampside, and that would be a nice place to start next session. So let's just make some dice rolls and try and quickly do this one. It is going to be... Let's see. Light, moderate,
I'm going to roll these as they come up.
Yeah, so 2 lights and 3 moderates.
So D8 plus 2 lights and 2 moderates.
Yeah, 3 moderates, but
3 moderates. Okay, so there's that. 18, beautiful. And then 6 plus 3, 3 times, 13. There you go. It's pretty decent.
So you need about 80 miles to get home, is what I'm calculating. Yeah. How many did you just do?
36 plus 13.5 plus 6 plus 10.5. We're at 66 miles.
All right. So that was moderate. The next one's light.
That's going to do it.
That's okay. So up until... Oh, actually, shit. I forgot to account for all of your days of travel. I'm sorry. That was going to be... You took 1, so you're at... And then on the way back. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 lights. There's gonna be a day of blizzarding. 11 is a moderate. it. Okay, so we're at the same spot. So you needed, what was it, 3 lights and 3 moderates to do this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I see 1, 2, 3 lights and 3 moderates and a day of blizzard.
Works.
So, yeah, we'll go
And
through
let me
that.
check encounters now.
Okay.
So we are at.
Oh, so this is 6-7 days. So during this,
Yeah,
we
it should be
we
7
keep track
days.
of when the encounters happen, so we know how much HP Grimes has.
Right. So there should have been 3 days of travel to the king and back, and then 7 days of getting home for rations.
I assume that Grimes isn't getting treated by Yaramir during those days of travel.
Probably not.
Yeah, so it's just one.
But he's
day.
resting.
We can recover, I think, 1 HP a day even while traveling. I
Yes,
think, with all these
yes.
proficiencies.
Let's see.
But we're not traveling during those days. We're just riding on a
You get
shoulder.
2 HP per day while traveling because I am an herbalist and a healer.
Yeah, but I don't think you can provide herbalism and healing whilst riding atop a giant. Is what I mean.
Okay, so that's no
Why not?
encounter.
All you gotta do is come sit on his big pile of hair with me.
Let's see.
Sure.
3 days into your journey, you see some caribou. I don't think you want to stop for caribou.
Not really worth it.
You spot some kobolds in the distance on day 4. I don't think you're going to follow up on that. Probably not. You've seen a million kobolds.
Which kobolds?
Who fucking knows, man. As
the
you
dog
pass
boats.
that forest again, you spot another group of gnolls hanging out on the edge of the forest. We can stop there if you'd like to engage with that encounter next time, or you
I
can
don't
keep
think
going.
so.
No, we saw Knowles last time too. We just
Yeah.
passed him by.
Okay, so this is like the 3rd time you've seen gnolls in and around this section of trees over here. It's always right around here.
Yeah.
And then for the
Let's mark
last
that on the map.
2 days of travel, because we actually ended up doing the light and mediums in a different order. It's gonna be nope, that's another group of kobolds,
Hey, no.
and nothing on the last day. Cool. So you will arrive back in town, back in the village, on the evening, maybe, I don't know, sometime on the 11th of June, and we'll come back into game. We're just gonna say it's the evening, so that way we can start the game on the 12th of June.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nick, do you want to add the Giants Great Hall to the map?
Yes.
I started to try, but my handwriting was awful. So,
Yeah, it's really hard to write with the mouse.
Well, leave it to the experts, Sean. You know,
yeah.
Hey, my null came out pretty okay.
it's too big.
Oh,
though,
is that
isn't
you?
it? Let's be honest.
Well, I didn't zoom in. I'm lazy.
Well, there you go. It's because I've got a year's experience doing this giant.
Well, so we make it back to Swampside eventually.
You do make it back to Swampside. I just want to see if Zaz has returned or not
Has
yet.
been sieged by giants.
Has not been sieged by giants this time. Oops. And we want to go from the last time we saw Zaz, so that would be 30, 37, 42, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Zaz would have come through here last week. Zaz would have shown up on the 7th of June.
So whatever we ordered last time would have arrived.
So whatever you would have ordered last time would have arrived.
Oh, that means our engineer is here.
Your engineer is here. There is a letter here waiting for William, which I can give to you now or at the start of next session, whatever you want.
Yeah, can we do it? Can we do it next time? I kind of
Totally. And last but not least, there are also a bunch of other people here that you did not order and you had no knowledge of. There is a group of scholars and a group of slaves that have arrived on a ship. And we will deal with the scholars, the slaves, the letters, and all of that jazz next time
sweet.
on Frozen Frontier, which is going to be in like a month.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Yep. 3
Life
weeks.
happens.
3
3
weeks.
weeks. I can't play for 3 weeks. Yeah.
Okay,
It actually
so-
works out pretty conveniently for me because all of the times where I can't make a session, somebody else is like, I can't make that day first. I'm like, yeah,
Nice.
I'm just perfect. I never miss anything.
But from my point of view, once those 3 weeks are over, I mean, apart from maybe 1 weekend at Christmas.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
It's gonna get complicated. There's
But
Thanksgiving. So we're
we'll
back
have-
on the 14th. Is that it, Nick?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do the 14th. I think Nick's back on the 14th, but I think that weekend
You're gone on the 14th.
I'll probably be busy. But
All
we'll
right,
see.
everybody. We're looking for the 21st of October.
Yes, we'll
Are you
probably
serious?
do a
Yes.
flashback in there at some point.
We'll get some flashbacks. We'll do some more Malachi and
Yes.
Van Helsing stuff. We'll
'Cause,
be
yeah, they're
filling the
gonna meet up, aren't they?
weekends.
Yeah.
We'll have some dicing with death.
We'll definitely be doing a lot of dicing with death. We'll do more adventures of Johnny Vegas and Natasha and Boris, and we'll have
Did I
some
miss
good
something?
time.
Oh, is this some shenanigans?
Shenanigans yesterday was fucking epic. It was great. It was amazing.
Sure, Johnny Vegas is like an actual comedian in England.
He is actually. That's why I took that name.
Okay.
He's really funny.
Yeah.
I made a Johnny Bravo clone, but I didn't want to call him Johnny Bravo. And Johnny Vegas is fucking hysterical, so I stole Vegas.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it today for our Frozen Frontier, and that's it for today's stream. We will be back Tuesday, maybe with Dicing with Death and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we'll see you all around some other time. Goodbye.
Discussion
See you
threads
guys.
up.
Bye.
Discussion
Thanks
thread.
for watching.